This is Radish Head and welcome back to another episode of Upland Analysis. Today is an exciting day because Spark Week has just been announced. I'm going to bring up the announcement here. January Spark Week. This is something which Upland does about once a month, and I'm going to tell you in this video all about what Spark is, why you should care, what there is to do on Spark Week, and just the best ways to get involved. So, Spark Week will be starting Monday, January the 10th at 9 AM PT, and it will conclude on Sunday, January the 16th at 11:59 PM PT. You can see this whole article if you click on your uplands.me website, click the little dots at the bottom. This is how you get all of your news, by the way, if you want to know. You just click resources, this big button here, and then there will be a button for news and events, and you click this button and it will take you to a website where you can see all of the latest announcements and news, and it's just a good thing to have a look through so often. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Spark. So if you guys aren't super familiar with what Spark is, you've got UPX, which is the in-game currency, and of course you can get UPX from your property yields, you get it from selling properties, lots of different ways. But then you've got Spark, which is something completely different. It's almost like a different type of currency. The special thing about Spark is that once you get it, it's registered under your name on the blockchain forever. So it's not like UPX where you spend it and it's gone and you get it back. Spark is far, far more valuable, and it's kind of used for lots of different premium transactions in Upland. Well, at the moment, it's primarily used for constructing buildings. In fact, that's the only thing that it's used for. But if you have ever scrolled around the Uplands map and you're wondering, what's the deal with all of these structures which are sitting on the properties? Like, what do they do? How do I get them? Well, the answer to the first question, what do they do, is at the moment nothing, aside from making your property look nicer and more valuable to speculators. But that won't be the case forever, and absolutely the reason people are speculating and paying more UPX for properties with structures on them is because there'll be lots of functionality to do with structures and houses in the future. And how do you get them? It's with Spark. So it's 950 Spark hours to build a structure. That means if you've got one Spark, that'll take you 950 hours to build a structure. If you've got 10 Spark, 95 hours, which is like, what, 3.5 days? So yeah, if you've got 10 Spark, you can really start cranking these out. But that's easier said than done because, as I'm about to show you, Spark is quite a valuable thing. I'm a pretty high net worth player, and I only have 3.66 Spark. Only. That's, quite a... it's fairly valuable, but it doesn't mean I can just crank out houses at an absolutely insane speed. There are 3 ways to get Spark, and each of those is enhanced during Spark Week. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is that if you're at a point where you're about to upgrade to the next rank in Upland, so for example, if you see on my profile, it says I'm an executive, and I'm like, so far away from chief executive. Well, if you're an Uplander, and you're working towards Pro, it's a really good idea to try and align that upgrade with Spark Week, because if you upgrade your status during Spark Week, you get about 20% more Spark than you otherwise would. And in fact, if you are a visitor upgrading to Uplander, or an Uplander upgrading to Pro, usually you don't get any Spark for doing that. But during Spark Week, if you're an Uplander and you go to Pro, so from 10,000 to 100,000 UPX net worth, you get 0.12 Spark, which I know doesn't sound like a massive amount, but that is worth about $50. And to become a Pro, your account needs to be worth like $100, so that's really quite generous. And similarly, if you're a Pro, 100k going to the 1 mil mark, that's 0.6 Spark, whereas usually you'd get 0.5. Directed to Executive 1.2 instead of 1, and Chief Executive to Chief Exec 2.4 instead of 2. So pretty big bonuses to be had. If you're very close to upgrading and Spark Week comes, it might be worth just tipping yourself over the edge and getting that upgrade to get the bonus spark. And if you've already got to the point where you can upgrade before Spark Week, I think it's the 8th today, so before the 10th, do not click the button. It will say, hey, well done, you've got to Uplander status, you've got to Pro status, do you want to upgrade? Just ignore it. Click the little X at the bottom. You don't want to click that button. You want to wait until Spark Week, and then you can click the button, because then you'll get your bonus spark. So that is the first piece of advice, and that is the first way to get spark, which is to upgrade your character in Uplands to the next level. The second way to get spark is by treasure hunting. Now, you can do this with any treasure chests in the game. It doesn't matter if it's a paid one or if it's the daily free one, if it's a classic chest or the exclusive chest. Whatever it is, there's a 5% chance, roughly, so 1 in 20, that your chest will contain a small amount of spark. That amount of spark is based on, first of all, luck. There's like different tiers of spark chest. So in Chicago, for example, you've got the bronze, which will give you 0.02 spark. You've got the silver chest, which will give you 0.04, and the gold, which will give you 0.06. I've only ever found two bronzes in all my time treasure hunting, so I don't do a massive amount of treasure hunting, but it's nice when you find it. But the tier of the city impacts the spark reward as it does the UPX reward of your treasure chests. So if you're in a tier 1 city like Chicago, you're going to find more spark in your spark chests than if you're in a tier 3 city like Staten Island. Now, the way that Spark Week enhances this process is there's a boosted spark treasure tier. So there are like new chests which only appear during Spark Week, and they actually contain quite a lot more spark than usual. So I've never found one. I should probably be doing more spark treasure hunting during Spark Week. In Chicago, it's such a massive city, it takes a while to do treasure hunting, but I've seen people make like 3 entire spark, like $1,000 worth of spark in Spark Week, because they're in a nice city where they can do infinite treasure hunts without using any sends. They've got a nice treasure map. If you want to know more about treasure maps and treasure hunting strategy, I've got another video on my channel for that. But yeah, during Spark Week and the enhanced spark rewards for treasures, people make hundreds, if not thousands, of value added to their accounts. So that is the second way to get spark, treasure hunting, and the way that Spark Week will enhance your experience if you're treasure hunting is by giving you these enhanced spark rewards chests. Now, the third, final, and probably most convenient way to get spark added to your account is actually by buying it directly from the store. Here is the spark values. So if you want to buy 1 spark from the store during Spark Week, it will cost you $460. Now, I know that sounds absolutely outrageous. I do just want to flag that once you have it, it's yours. It's not consumed no matter what you do with it. And you can rent it to other players. So on the Discords, there's entire communities where people will go, hey, I'll pay 1,500 UPX a day per spark if you place your spark on my property because I'm building a construction. Suddenly, that actually adds up quite quick. I've got 3 spark and I got paid about 90,000 UPX the other day because I'm contributing it to somebody's property, and they'll be building it up. I think I've got it rented out for 3 weeks or so. So yeah, that is a good way to make some passive income on your Upland account if you have a decent amount of spark. I've never personally gone for the spark sale, but every time I've missed it, I've always been like, I kind of regret it a little bit, because actually it's one of the better rates of return to have spark on your account. And don't forget, the applications for Spark is only going to increase in the future. At the moment, it's only used to construct buildings, which don't even have any real functional application. But once buildings do have functional application, I'm assuming people are going to pay more to rent their Spark, Plus, there's going to be additional uses for Spark. So we're already talking about cars. Apparently cars will use Spark to power themselves. So if you want to travel around the map, Spark will be required for that. When we've got the meta ventures in, the goods will have to be transported from place to place with trucks. The trucks will obviously use Spark. Spark, I just have a feeling, is going to become more and more valuable over time. So don't be absolutely put off by the price. It might be worth grabbing 0.25 Spark for $130. Just saying. But how would you actually get hold of this? Because actually there's only a limited amount of Spark, even with these prices in the shop. So for example, if you want to buy 1 Spark, there's only 75 of those available. Well, the process to do this is on Spark Week, on Thursday, January the 13th at 8 AM, registration will open for the opportunity to purchase Spark. So what that means is, in-game, you click your Get UpX button in the top right, where you'd usually buy UpX from the store, and you'd click Specials over here. Now usually this is where, you know, like the NFL Legits are, or Special Block Explorer sales. Well, on Spark Week, on Thursday, January the 13th, you're going to see a button that says Register, and there's going to be register to buy 1 Spark, half a Spark, a quarter of a Spark, and by clicking those, you're kind of registering your interest in joining the queue. You're not actually paying anything, so really you've got nothing to lose. So if you're sort of on the edge, you're like, maybe I'll buy some Spark on Spark Week. Well, just click the register button, because you have to be registered in advance in order to participate in the Spark sale, and you don't pay anything to register. It's only if you actually come back the day after and buy the Spark that you're actually paying anything. So that's important to know. So you register on 13th. So if you're interested, you absolutely need to be on to register. And then the queue is generated from all the people that registered, and it's randomized. So Upland basically creates groups of players. So it's not like one long queue with like thousands of players. It's a queue made up of groups of players. So there's one group who will be front of the queue, and they'll all get to have the opportunity to buy the Spark, you know, first in line simultaneously. Then, after a certain amount of time has passed, the second randomized group will then get the opportunity to buy. So there's a bit of randomness involved in whether you'll be front of the queue. It doesn't depend on which order you actually sign up for, which I quite like, because it means that it doesn't matter so much in terms of time zones. As long as you register on Thursday the 13th of January, you will be registered into the queue, and then it's just down to luck of the dice whether you're first in line, last in line, whatever. But what I will say is that Spark goes quickly, especially the larger amounts, because people quite like having nice large round numbers of Spark. So best of luck if you register. I might be registering. And of course, if you have been selling your properties for dollars in Upland, it goes into your dollar account, your dollar balance. You can use that to purchase your Spark. So you don't need to put more dollars into the game if you've already been selling them for dollars. So that's something which is also quite important to know. So that is the third way to get Spark, is to directly buy it from the shop, and that is how you do it on Spark Week. So Spark Week, don't forget, don't upgrade your character until it's Spark Week, because you get bonus Spark. Do plenty of treasure hunts if you can when Spark Week comes out, and if you're interested, register to buy Spark on the store during Spark Week. I hope you found that useful. Please give me a like if you did, and if you want to see similar content to this in the future, I'd love it if you gave the channel a subscribe. But until next time, I'll see you then.